I was talking about how I thought the transition from Bob Sutton to Steve Spagnuolo and the signing of Tyrann Mathieu was beyond brilliant. And, Steve Spagnuolo comes from Andy Reid. I unfortunately didn't get to watch a lot of him, but learning about football from other people and just listening to people who watch, then he comes from Jim Johnson, who used to be this exotic blitzer and creative defensive play caller for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's from that tree of coaching. And so Andy Reid brought that defense back. And I think the one thing with Steve Spagnuolo is what I was saying was, other than Belichick, to me, I think he's actually the best week-to-week individual game planner for defense in the NFL. And it's like with 2 weeks to prepare with the Super Bowl, we saw what he did to Tom Brady, Randy Moss, Wes Welker, holding that offense to 14 points. He's phenomenal. He messes with protections. He does a lot of unconventional things. He does a lot of unorthodox things. He does a lot of different things, and he's super creative. And what he did to Josh Allen last week was yesterday, not last week. It was just an absolute defensive game planning clinic. And, that's going to make everybody think Josh Allen is bad because we've been kind of numb to quarterbacks having this moment. Every great quarterback has had this moment where they walk onto the field, and it's usually Belichick doing it to these quarterbacks where they're like, oh, crap, I don't know what's going on. I can't trust what I'm seeing. And, Josh Allen was no longer anticipating. He was waiting for things to show itself and then throw it. And then throw the football and all of that, because this was a game plan and the way where people were coming from and stuff, that's something he's not very used to. And, Patrick Mahomes only had one half where this happened to him, and that was the first half of the AFC Championship game in 2018 versus Belichick. But otherwise, he's been kind of making people think that this doesn't exist because he just overcomes it every time. But in reality, most quarterbacks have had this moment, whether it's Brady, whether maybe not Rodgers as much, but whether it's Brady, whether it's Peyton Manning, whether it's Drew Brees, whether it's any of these guys, they've all had this type of a game, where they go in and they just get schooled by a great defensive coach. And I think that that's phenomenal for the Chiefs. And now turning it towards DeMeco Ryans and the 49ers, I think the one thing with DeMeco Ryans is that you can't expect him to be ready to do something like this.
See, that's my takeaway when I look at Spagnuolo. Is like, look at the value of an experienced defensive coordinator. And it's what the Niners had with Fangio, and it's what the Niners had with Saleh at the end. He got there very quickly.
Right.
His improvement was fast, but DeMeco is.
It took him time.
I mean, it's not like Andy Reid was like, let's give someone his start. Like, no, right. we're a Super Bowl ready team. Let's get someone who's grizzled and has faced quarterbacks and offenses like that. And there's a value to that, as we see.
And right. And Andy Reid was super confident in his offense. And he just said, I need a guy who can scheme up 2 or 3 stops for my defense. And he's scheming up more than 2 or 3 stops between Matthew, Chris Jones, and then a combination of Frank Clark and L'Jarius Sneed. They have a really, really solid defensive core. Actually, it's a lot better than people say. They're super. But
also, saying give me a couple of 3 key stops, like that's a lot more complicated than it sounds. Yeah. It's all about situational football and the opponent. It's not like you do the same. It's not like, hey, I'm just going to call cover 3 and rush 4. Like, no, you have to do something specific to take away. It's like it's high level stuff, and he does it.
Last week versus Cleveland, right? 2nd down and 10 blitzes. Last time they blitzed, Baker Mayfield threw the ball out to the flat. This time they adjust their blitz, and they have a guy waiting for Baker Mayfield's throwing in the flat, tackle him for a 3-yard loss, and now 2-yard loss, and now it's 3rd and 12, and now you got the game in your place. Where if you had thrown the ball in the flat and there was nobody there, it's 3rd and 5, and Baker Mayfield has a good chance of converting it. Those little things that he does that are adjustments, super creative. I mean, in the end of the Super Bowl, like Jimmy Garoppolo was so confused with what the Chiefs defense was doing. I was certainly confused. There were a bunch of people at the line of scrimmage. It wasn't clear exactly what defense they were playing, all of that. How do you tell pre-snap? They were hitting him. He was rattled that way. And so I think ultimately the thing is with DeMeco Ryans, right? Robert Saleh grew into it, and this year he was a much more week-to-week game planner where there would be a lot of different wrinkles with the 49ers, sim pressures, their fire zones, all these little things. They would have small, slight tweaks to them and a lot of game plan specific things to them where it was maybe not as creative and as detailed in 2017 and 2018, though I do think it was a little better than maybe he got credit for.
And so what I'm saying is, like, I'm always trying to bring up concerns because that's what you got to do if you're quality controlling. Is this a problem? Say they do get Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford, and this team is ready to go. They're the NFC favorites. They are expected to compete for the Super Bowl and win it, and they get close. Is DeMeco Ryans going to blow it year one just because he's green? Just because it's his first year, he's never called plays?
You don't know.
You don't know. I mean, he may be this future superstar, but maybe he's just not ready to hold up his end of the bargain on a championship team first year as a DC. Saleh wasn't. Saleh was not. So I just think it's interesting. Like, theoretically, you're supposed to be in win now mode, and you just had one bad season with injuries.
The other detail with DeMeco, I think that's kind of lost in this, is that his coaching track has been super fast. Like, I think a comparison you could maybe bring is Brian Flores in New England, where Matt Patricia finally left, and then Brian Flores was super creative with their cover zero and all of that. But Vrabel at least had the 1 year in Ohio State, and he had Dean Pease as his defensive coordinator. And this year, their defense really struggled without Dean Pease. So it makes you question a little bit Mike Vrabel's credibility as just a defensive game planner. But
real quick, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm gonna give you solo layout. It's your show for a minute. I'll be right back. I gotta go to the bathroom so bad. It was the T. I'll never make that mistake. I'll be right back.
All right, for sure. All right. So what I was saying was the thing with what were we talking about? We were talking about Mike Vrabel, right? The thing with DeMeco Ryans in comparison to Brian Flores is that Brian Flores was in the New England system as a coach for a while. And I think that really helped in his experience. But now DeMeco has been a coach from quality control to linebackers coach. He was only the linebackers coach promoted in 2018. It's been a short while. So it's really interesting to see how he does. So I'm just going to go through the comments and kind of just chill until Grant comes back. Someone said my bed looks comfy. Yeah, it's super comfy, actually. I wouldn't mind going and sleeping right now after this show. I did make my bed. What are you talking about? I make my bed every morning. Hey, someone asked, do you think Brandon Staley, excuse me, will you help Grant out on a Wednesday with this Cohn phone? Yeah, if I take a shower and, I don't have class or homework to do, yeah, sure. I don't mind making a Cohn phone appearance one time. Ooh, Grant's back.
T was a bad choice. T was the wrong. I'm not going to do that again because Vish and I talked for like 2 hours. All right, let me get the little thing back up so we can look. All right, boom. That made all the difference, man. I feel so much better. So was that good? Did you have a good little segment?
I had a great time.
I'll never know what I guess I'll have to find out later. All right, so we got 2 more topics, and then we can take a couple questions.
I put a bow on DeMeco, basically saying that, he's was only the linebackers coach in 2018. So he's gone from QC to DC so fast. As impressive as he is, it's going to take time for him to grow. And then I was just reading comments, and some person said I didn't make my bed, and I took a little umbrage to that since I would take umbrage to that too.
Yeah, I'm the one who doesn't make the bed. Vish certainly does. He's much better raised than me. Actually, I do. I've been trying to make the bed. I want to contribute.